Could Alex Wesker be the one behind the connections? Because after all, the connections in Resident Evil 9 mistakenly believed that Elpis was Oswell's ultimate virus that would allow for them to control human consciousness. And in Revelations 2, Alex Wesker's whole goal was that she wanted to transcend. It wasn't just enough for her to live, she wanted to transcend beyond. And so she created the T Phobos virus to transfer her consciousness into Natalia, which she successfully does, although there were some complications there. But in the end, she successfully transferred her consciousness. However, the flaw with this system is that Natalia's body will still eventually age and die naturally, so Alex Wesker will have to transfer her consciousness to a new host. But under this system, she can only transfer her consciousness to one host at a time and would have to repeat that after so many years. So it's a bit of a flawed system in that regard. So what if Alex Wesker and the connections have been seeking for a way to control consciousness on a hive mind-like scale so that she could transfer her consciousness to multiple hosts at a time? And they wanted to gain access to Elpis, but all this time it's been locked up behind this code, so they haven't been able to use it. So they moved on to mold and started examining it, but they found that it was inefficient in infecting others. It was very uncontrollable and random. So they decided to abandon the mold because of all of these issues and go back to Elpis, to which they found Grace, who they thought was this chosen one, and would give them the passcode they need so that they could use it, infect everyone with it, take control of their consciousness, and allow for Alex Wesker to truly transcend herself by transferring her consciousness into everyone. And so that could have been what their goal was, but then of course we learn Elpis doesn't do any of that. It's actually the antiviral to progenitor viruses. And so now, what could the Connections' next move be? Because obviously the Connections is seeking after mind control, because they were looking for Elpis that they thought was this mind control virus. They had been studying the mold, which its whole thing is hive mind control. So mind control is something that the Connections clearly value. So what could they possibly do moving forward now that they know Elpis is nothing more than an antiviral agent to progenitor-based viruses? Like I said in the last video, I think something that could potentially happen is they seek after the amber sample that Ada had in Resident Evil 4 and try to gain access to that dominant Plaga sample. And maybe with it, they'll combine it with the mold, and then that will somehow fix the flaws of mold and create this perfect system that the Connections and Alex Wesker are seeking after for control over human consciousness, allowing for Alex Wesker to truly transfer her consciousness into multiple hosts rather than just one at a time, and then allow her to truly transcend. So I think that is something that could potentially end up happening, where we see dominant Plaga and mold fused together and creating this ultimate thing that the Connections have been seeking after all of this time. I think it'd be very fascinating, and I think it'd be very fitting if Alex Wesker was indeed the one behind the Connections, because it just matches. You know, with the Connections looking for all of these things that are mind control centric, consciousness control centric, and then Alex Wesker and her whole thing being about transcending and transferring consciousness. It just really matches up really well. Plus, Revelations 2 was the last game that we got before we entered into the RE Engine era of games. Before 7, 8, and 9 released, Revelations 2 was the last one. So maybe, just maybe, Alex Wesker could resurface as that reoccurring villain that the franchise has been kind of missing since Albert Wesker was killed off. And I think this would be a really cool addition if Capcom were to take it in this sort of direction, to bring back Alex Wesker as the one truly behind the Connections. Because, you know, for a while there, people thought it was Brandon Bailey, but Resident Evil 9, with Grace's report, confirmed that it's not Brandon Bailey. He's just a small cog in the machine. There's actually someone even higher up than him behind it. So what if it is, in fact, Alex Wesker? Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Do you think Alex Wesker could be the one behind the connections? And if so, what do you think their next move is going to be? Do you think it could be to go after that Plaga Amber? Does that Plaga Amber even exist anymore at this point? Because that was back in 2004. So, what are your thoughts on all of this? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this one here, and I will see you all on the next one. See you then.